I'm going to unpack some things that you can do to avoid becoming the next victim of a gas station robbery. Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First. This woman with the backpack just cashed in at the local scrapyard. She told the police this robbery crew may have followed her from the scrapyard to this gas station. The passenger, Mr. Sneaky, he's going to creep low until he can see that she still has her back turned towards him. She's given up her back. And he's going to make a 90-degree turn around the back of that vehicle and a beeline for this robbery gateway. If he can reach this point undetected, then you have mere fractions of a second before you're being dominated by brute force or a weapon. If you're into tactical training, then you probably heard the term kill zone. Well, this little area right here between your pump and your vehicle, or as in this case your trailer, it could be called a robbery zone. You don't want to linger in this area because you just don't have enough reactionary time to deal with the potential threat. If you get caught here, then you're going to have your hands full if it's a brute force attack. If it's domination by threat of a weapon, then you're going to have to wait and watch for an opportunity to defend yourself. In this case, the suspect forcibly tried to take this woman's backpack. The woman reported the suspect also used a taser on her to get the job done. Okay, let's talk about some solutions. Look, the best way to win the physical battle and the legal battle is don't be involved in one. Increasingly, we see crime on the rise, and in a number of major United States cities, we see prosecutors who are supposed to bring charges against the criminals. Though as of late, we've seen a number of examples where prosecutors arguably are biased in favor of the unjust criminal aggressor and acting consistent with bias against innocent people exercising their legitimate rights to self-defense. It's my opinion a number of these prosecutors are progressive and they're activists. Next, when possible, do not stop at gas stations inside major U.S. cities. Wait until you're out to a relatively safer suburb or outside of that city altogether. Use something like Google Earth to get your bearings. Then use something like crimegrade.org. Click on the violent crime tab and identify the high crime dangerous areas of that city. Whenever possible, strive to find alternatives to moderate or large cash withdrawals. Alternatives to receiving cash payments. The good Lord willing, perhaps I'll do a video sometime explaining how logistics ranks above strategy and strategy ranks above tactics when it comes to avoiding or winning violent confrontations. But suffice to say, if I fail and end up having to purchase gas in a big city, in a high crime dangerous area, then I failed at logistics. That means I primarily or substantially failed in planning. But say that happens and I do have to get gas in a high crime dangerous area of a major United States city. What am I going to do? Well, as far as location is concerned, I do like pumping on the outside periphery furthest from the door. Typically, as I pull in, I'm less concerned when I see somebody already on the opposite side of me pumping gas or finishing up. I'm going to be far more concerned if that person pulls off and some new person pulls up, typically being the key word. I could still have a problem with the person who's already there. There's no guarantees. For those who seemingly have no other choice but to stop in a dangerous area to get gasoline, Humilitas First offers these 4 tips for your discernment. Number 1, prepay at the pump. That way, if you suddenly feel the need to leave, you have that option. Number 2, set the pump so that your hand's free. If your hand's free, you can move. You're not stuck in this vulnerable position between the car and the pump. Being stuck there means you have to deal with those blind spots where you can easily be ambushed. With the hands-free pump, you can expand distance. Expanding distance buys you more reactionary time. Depending upon your set of circumstances, maybe you move to offset the other direction. Only you can make that decision. Continuing to pump gas when you have a strong feeling that you should go, it's a kind of gamble. But if you decide to keep doing that, when would I move? The very instant the passengers on the opposing side lose line of sight with me. Why? It has to do with their expectations, and specifically not being where they expect me to be. At a minimum, if I were her, I'm going to begin slightly outside of that no-go zone and then further stack my odds where possible by putting some objects between me and any potential problems. Maybe I use concealment or some obstructed views as well. Humilitas First digs down on these things in our one-day 12 Principles course. That leads me to number 3, pay attention. If you're paying attention, then you're going to get the timing right. If you're paying attention, it's not going to take long to see you got a major problem spinning up. If that major problem is an imminent deadly force threat, then what I would do next would look something like a retreating bill drill, getting my gun out, up, and on target. And number 4, if you have an uneasy feeling about any other patrons that park, say, opposite your pump in those blind spots, click off the pump, rack it, get into your car, and drive away, so that you can avoid this from the beginning. Where you were unable to avoid a violent confrontation, the number one solution is for you to have done whatever was necessary to be able to be concealed carry with a firearm. A firearm is a great equalizer as it relates to dealing with someone who's bigger, faster, stronger, younger, male against female, and dealing with multiple unjust criminal aggressors. But that does you no good at all if you don't have it with you. Attend a concealed carry course if that's what your state requires. You need to understand and come to believe that you have to do some work as it relates to coming up to speed on the fundamental legal principles for when you can draw, display, present, point, and shoot. The fastest way that I'm aware of to do that is to buy a copy of Andrew Branca's book, The Law of Self-Defense. Consider purchasing concealed carry insurance to help you should a progressive activist prosecutor take a disliking to your set of circumstances and, sadly, to your worldview.